Hey there, I'm Sophia Hernandez, and today we have one of the sweetest people ever. She's super fashion forward. She's got the brains to match. With us today in the spotlight is Michi Adams. So you are in school right now, in grad school, law school. Can you tell people a little bit about that, what it's like?
So I ended up graduating. I ended up graduating from college earlier than expected, kind of by mistake. And I knew I kind of wanted to do law school because I was an English major. I loved reading. I'm like an avid reader. And then I'm also a huge analyzer. I think it was just the way that I was raised. My dad's a lawyer, and like the way he would make us think about things and like consequences made me take a law class, and I was like, I love this. So I decided to go straight out from undergrad to UM. I needed the change of scenery, but I didn't want to leave Miami, so I switched schools in the same city. And yeah, I've been at UM. I love it there. It's called a Dean's Fellow, but it's basically like a TA to a class contracts, which I've done for 2 semesters. So I'm very involved there. Absolutely love it. And yeah, it's been great so far.
And as far as let's go back, because I was in a similar boat too. I finished college early, kind of the same thing. I felt like it creeped up on me. Like I went to see a guidance counselor one semester, and he was like, "Oh, by the way, you're graduating next semester." And I was like, "Well, I didn't really plan for that, but okay, cool." What was that like for you? Like, was it nerve-wracking? Were you kind of bummed out about it? What was your mindset?
So I didn't really have a traditional college experience because I went to FIU, which is like mainly commuter school. I wasn't in a sorority. I wasn't really that involved, to be honest. I'm pretty shy. So like, and it's a huge school, and I was like, I'm not reaching out and doing anything. So I kind of went I went to my advisor, I remember, to kind of see, oh, should I be taking more law classes since I know that this is what I want to do now? And I'm trying to go to law school. And he's like, you know that you graduate like next year, right? I was like, what? And I was a sophomore. I was like, I do. He's like, yeah, you've been taking a lot of credits. And I'm someone, as you will find out when we talk about Birdie Bakery, but I like to be very busy. It like helps me a little bit. So I was taking a lot of classes because it was like fun, like it was fine. I loved my English classes. They were great. And so I was very intimidated going into law school super young. I didn't obviously I knew people from Miami, but they were older than me. And I was like, what am I doing here as like a 21-year-old? And it ended up being one of the best experiences. Like, I know that things that happened for a reason, so I could go and meet all these new people I would have never met if not.
And I think it too, in a sense, kind of elevates you a little bit, right? Because you've got a little bit of an edge. Because people are like, whoa, what is she doing? Like, she's 21 and what is she doing in law school? You know, like it's a little bit intimidating, honestly, for them, knowing that you're competing at their level. So it's super, super impressive. So you're still in law school right now, kind of with COVID and all that. What has that been like being in school? And really, I mean, I think law school in a quarantine COVID world and not is crazy nonetheless, you know, but to be doing it kind of half at home, half in person, I can't imagine it being, you know, it's easy breezy, let's say.
In the beginning, it was really hard for me, I have to be honest, because I lived at the library. That was like the only way I could do it. I live at home and I have 2 sisters and 3 dogs. So it's a very loud, busy house. And so I had a really good work-life balance that I would stay at school until I was completely done with work. I would come home without my books because we have lockers there. It's like back to high school. Right. I would come home without my books and just, you know, from 7 o'clock till when I went to bed, that was like my me time. And so when they were like, listen, it was like right around my birthday last year. My birthday was like the last time we were able to go out was March 11th. And like a day later, they were like, we're going into lockdown. Like this thing is here, all this stuff. And so I was like, okay, we thought we were in spring break. So we thought, oh, we're going to have a week off, an extra week. This is incredible. Like, thank God we can have fun.
Forever. Amazing.
We were like, woo, it's going to be a week off. We're going to be back. And then it was like, it's going to be a month off. And so we very quickly had to, you know, try to get used to this. And my sister's also in law school a year above me. And my little sister's in college at UF. So we had to go get her. Everyone was in school and working in one house. It was really crazy. So in the beginning, it was hard to find that work-life balance for me. I tried to keep the normal schedule I had, but it was like, there's something about doing your work where you usually just hang out that was really hard for me. to like get used to, because I'd be like on my phone when I was like in class, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, because I'm in my room and I'm like used to that. So at first, very hard. It was hard like not seeing anyone, because like the fun part about law school too is like you get to complain to each other about like, you know, being tired or whatever, and we really couldn't do that anymore because you weren't seeing anyone. So very hard. And then it, you know, I got used to it so much that when it was time to go back this semester, I have half and half. I was like, I want to stay home because I got so used to it. So, and it ended up being great. I did probably the best I've done thus far at home. So I think it just like refocused me a little bit. I got a lot of times to do things I would never have ever done before, if not. So it ended up being fine. I think the beginning was very difficult, but it ended up being like probably one of the best things, because certain things would not have happened if not. So
yeah. And one of those certain things was the birth of your baby, Birdie Bakery. Can you tell people, number one, what made you like one day decide, you know what, I'm going to bake cookies and I'm going to sell them in my house? Like, what was that idea from?
So I've been doing it, like I've been baking like those style, like big, thick New York style cookies, like for a couple years now. I want to say like 2 or 3, like 3 years ago, or maybe 2, I was like, I want to try to like make the best cookie I can. I remember I had notes and everything, like, you know, this one came out a little flat, this one came out a little too big, okay. And I would tweak every time. And so I said, I really want to start selling them. Like, I just wanted the opportunity to bake, honestly. I'm not very business savvy. I'm not like good with like numbers. That's why I went to law school. So I'm very creative. And so I said, how can I make it something that is not only like good and, you know, I like enjoy to do, but something a little bit different than what everyone else is doing. And a lot of people were selling cookies. A lot of people were starting to do baked goods because like it's fun, and cookies are relatively easy to make.
Right.
So I was like, how can I do this, you know, and add a little something to it that's like very me. And when I told people like, oh, it's going to be tie-dye, they were like, oh my God, that is so you. It's like too much. So, and it took off because nothing was like that in Miami yet. That's a very New York style. I know there's one in New York that I realized there was one after, and I had like a heart attack. I was like, oh no, I didn't know. But it's still a little different because they don't do different flavors. They just do regular chocolate chip. But that doesn't exist in Miami. And especially, I think there was a lack of cookies that are not only like really cute and different, but actually still taste like a homemade, like grandmother's kitchen cookie. Like they taste a little bit like, you know, a little different. And I don't necessarily like that.
Having them, it's not like a thin, it's definitely a thick cookie, almost like a cakey texture. Yeah. But like what is enough? You know what I mean? Like it was like a very delicious thing. And of course, you present it so beautifully in like this very cute box with a bow, the name written so cute, and then they're fun tie-dye cookies.
Exactly.
I love that. And so, okay, so you have this idea, you're going to bake these cookies. You've been doing it forever. When did you kind of know that almost a year ago was the right time to do it?
So I think it was because I wasn't really like going out or doing anything. My boyfriend is from Georgia, and he like went back home at the start of COVID because he was like, I need to get out of here. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. So he left. Everyone was kind of like in their houses. I had nothing to do, like really no distraction at all. And I was like bored, I guess, from school, even though I had a lot of going on with school at that time. It was just like I needed some sort of release for myself. Right. And so I was like, I really want to sell these. So I made the Instagram like on a random weekend with my little sister, who's like my tech person. And she's
That's
super
like what sisters are for, right? To be like your little assistant. I love that.
She's really like, she does like all the videos, like she does all that. I'm like, I don't know how to do this, edit it, you know, do your thing. And I just started like posting about it, and I don't know what I expected. I don't think I expected anything really. I was just like, yeah, whatever, this is fun. And I've always started, I feel like this is like the 3rd business I've started, like a little random thing.
I was going to say, because I know you have for somebody that says they don't have a business sense, you've definitely like put yourself out there numerous times, you know?
I put myself out there, I think, because I'm just like creative, and like I think it's kind of fun, but like I'm not necessarily someone that's like, oh, thinks in business terms. Like I'm really not. Just that like I'm like, oh, I would want this, so I want to put it out there because like maybe people will too. And those other ones, like just, I mean, they were kind of like not like I wasn't at the age, or it was like with a group of people, it's very hard, different schedules. So this is like, it works because it's like on my time, and with law school that was really needed because I can't, you know, and it's been hard sometimes because I want to accept so many orders and I literally can't do it. So we just randomly started. I didn't think it was going to be big. I don't think I was really thinking long-term, to be honest, because I was starting a new job in like 2 weeks and I just started to do this business. And then people just really, really wanted it. And then it just like kept coming and I kept doing so many orders that it was crazy in the beginning, like really crazy.
That is incredible. And I think too, a lot of people, because you remember when I had way back when, like my own jewelry business.
Yes.
It's like, yeah. And it's like people, I think, forget because they want it. And it's literally just you, so it can be very overwhelming when you have such an influx of requests and like, maybe you can't keep up with it. How do you feel you've either learned or adapted or gotten better at time management? Because you work, you're in law school, and you have this side business that's really taken off. How have you been able to manage it all?
So I've always been pretty good with time management. That's been like one of my strongest things forever. I like schedule my day out like to the minute. Like I really write like 6 a.m. to this, like I will be doing this. Like that's just what works for me. Because if not, I get really overwhelmed and I just explode and it's like over. I think what helped, because I did have to really adjust. And in the beginning, it was very difficult for me that people were like, you need to stop because this is making you crazy. Because I wasn't sleeping. I was like accepting like doing like 10 or 12 orders of cookies a day and then going to school. And then and it was a lot, like just me, like since it's baking, like I can't have my mom do that. I can't have my sister because like I'm too like I need to do it myself and they don't really know how to do it. And I guess I could teach them, but like it's my thing. I don't know.
And it's something that probably for you is like a little bit of a stress reliever, like something that you maybe.
It is. No, definitely. But I mean, it would be great if I had like another me. Then, but yeah, in the beginning, it was very hard with the time management, especially since it started as a hobby. And like, it was the thing I did on Friday night. And then it just like kind of exploded into like, oh, I'm doing this all the time now. And it was okay because it was like the summer. So I was working, but I wasn't at school. I was doing like side things for school and clubs and, law review and things like that. But I wasn't like in class having to sit down. So that worked and work was online and on my own time. So I was able to and that's when I started, waking up at like 5 to do my work and then go to the kitchen when people were up and I could make noise. I think it taught me a lot about myself in the way that like doing what feels right. A lot of times I really pushed myself like over the edge and it was like me being like, okay, I can schedule this out in a way that now I'm doing like maybe 2 or 3 max orders a day. And that's like more than enough because that's the level that I, still get something out of it. Like it's fun for me, but I don't feel like, oh my God, it's way too much.
Right, that it's consuming you.
It was consuming me in the beginning just because I had never experienced anything like this. Especially after I was featured on Deco Drive, it just like, I don't know what happened. So yeah, it taught me to like really know what I want to do. It's like my business for a purpose is supposed to be fun. And my dad would always remind me like, this is supposed to be fun. You can't make this something that doesn't make you happy anymore. If it doesn't make you happy anymore, you can't do it. So that was like his number one rule. And then that helped me with time management because I was like, okay, how can I make this in a way so I tried a bunch of different things. In the beginning of the semester, I would say, okay, I'm only doing it on Fridays or weekends. That was horrible. Because then I was doing like 10 on a Friday night and I was like, no. So I think now the way I have it, it's like enjoyable for me. I think the work comes out better because I am able to spend a lot of time on just one person and it's like exactly what they wanted. And I'm happy with it when I give it to them. And that's all I want really.
And I think that's important too. The because I felt that too with joy, when you do get overwhelmed, it's like you're just trying to rush to keep up and then you're maybe not putting as much
like thought
into it and then the quality of it's not great and then really that customer's not going to come back to get it because they're like, what is this, And for people who don't know too, who are not from Miami, Deco Drive is a local TV show, entertainment, lifestyle, and Michi was featured really at the beginning-ish of the kickoff of her career there. Was there ever a point where you were like, what, with any of your businesses, not just Birdie, but the ones before, like the fear kicking in of being like, what am I doing? Or like, what are people going to think? Did you ever have those moments?
I definitely did when I went on Deco Drive because I was like, they're reaching out to me. Like, why? Like, and I'm very shy. Like, I don't like to be in the spotlight. That's not really like my thing. I just like, it gets me very nervous. So I was like, what am I going to be doing on this site? Like, what are people going to say? I'm just some young girl. I have no culinary experience. And here I am making cookies out of my house, like it's crazy. And then I have these random people that I've never met in my life trying to order and come to my house to get it. And it was like, now I'm being held to the standard of like someone that, like really bakes. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. So I was really afraid. And I think I just like kept, whatever, trying my best, doing tweaks where I could. If I like, I think I'm a perfectionist that I didn't know I was a perfectionist, because a lot of things I kind of just let them go. I'm like, whatever, it's fine. Right. But when it comes to something that it's like my name and my work and someone's paying me for it and they're like really excited, like it needs to be perfect for me to feel like, okay, like I feel happy about this and I want to make them happy. Like I know I'm very picky when I order, even from small businesses, and it's not exactly what I wanted. I'm kind of like, like I know I'm like that, so I'm like, they're probably like that too. So I think it just made me, being on Deco Drive and things like that, just made me more aware that like this is becoming kind of real, and like it's time to like, like really start taking it seriously.
And does that kind of scare you too? Just like how much, for something that you probably thought was going to be in this little Miami bubble, and it was really just blown up because it has. Does that even scare you too? Like how far this could go, and like it's just you.
Yeah, it not so much scares me, and in a way I wish that I had more time, because I know that if I wasn't in school it would have like taken off. Like I know that, because like the response has been insane for such a short amount of time. People have really, really liked it. And so I know that if I, this was like my career or my sole thing, it would have been really big. So it's hard to balance, because like law, like even though I know a lot of people go to law school and they don't like it or whatever, I am one of those rare people that absolutely loves it. And so it's kind of like my passion as well, which is crazy. And it's something I never want to give up. Like I remember people asking me as a joke, like, oh, if this took off, would you drop out of school? I was like, absolutely not. Like I want to do this. And so it's been hard to balance that, because I obviously love the business I made, and like, it's like incredible that I've done this, but I love school too. And like, I never want to weigh one over the other, especially like school is so important to me. And like, I work so hard to be here that it's like, I can't just like, throw it all away. So it's definitely hard. It doesn't scare me as much as it used to, because I was like, what am I going to do if it really blows up? And like, because now I realize that I have control over it, and like how much, and I also realize that I kind of like it small scale. It's more fun for me to keep it that way. So even though, I would love, and a lot of people reached out to me saying like, oh, are you going to open like, a physical location? And I was like,
really wanting it to take off. I'm telling you, the response is crazy.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm like a 22-year-old girl. What? Like, what do you mean a physical location? I don't even have money for that. Like, it's crazy. Which would be great. Like if I could do that on the side with my career, like I would absolutely love that. But I think to get to that stage, I would need to bring in help, which I've been wanting to do for a long time, because I think it would really take things to the next level. But we'll see.
Yeah. And how do you even coordinate that too? Because like, I was talking with a friend the other day, and we were talking about passions and like how people might have multiple passions. Like I feel like I have multiple passions, and I think that's something that's universal. I think everybody does in some sense, but some might be maybe higher level than others. How do you feel about either knowing which ones to like really follow, go after full force, versus the ones that maybe are those side hobbies and just something that is more of an outlet rather than a full-blown career?
So that's something that I deal with too, because I have a lot of like hobbies. Like I have a lot. And so when I started doing Birdie Bakery, it was hard for me because I wanted to do my other hobbies also. And I was like, I like I said, I love to read, and I read like, I don't even know how many.
I say I'm like the biggest book nerd that there is.
I love it. Like
space.
Well, when I finish a book, like the feeling I have is like, I can't describe it.
Oh my God, we're twins. What is this? We're like long lost sisters.
I know. But you know who says that? Natty all the time.
Oh, yes.
because you need to sit down and talk to her, because you guys are the same person.
Our friend Nathy, she is like literally, I don't think I've ever met anybody more.
She's an angel. Like
this kindest human being. But yes, Michi and I, in case you didn't know, the world is learning now, we are the same human being, basically.
But yeah, so it's been hard to like, obviously I know reading is my hobby. And like, I love to do calligraphy and things like that, or I don't know, just like I love to online shop. I love fashion. I love, a lot of things. And I also love school, which is like the nerdy side to me. So it's hard to know when to give more importance to like the bakery and things like that, when to give it to school. And I always question myself, like, am I slacking in one area and not the other? I had a freak out. I remember like in the beginning of September, what am I saying?
It's okay. The months all diverge with this.
I know.
I forget what day it was yesterday.
In the beginning of February, I was like freaking out because I hadn't posted anything in a long time. Even though I was still doing orders, I was so tired doing them that I would forget to take pictures, because that's like a whole production here. Everyone out, especially having two sisters, are very picky, as am I. So they like hold me to the standard, like that's not it. Like you can do so much better. But then that involves me, getting dressed up and being in the pictures. And I'm baking sometimes at like 11:30 at night, and like I'm not gonna take pictures after that. Like, sorry. Yeah. So I did this thing where I scheduled on Fridays, I would bake and take pictures, and it was working super well because I would give the extra stuff to friends or whoever. My boyfriend and his roommate would be like getting cookie cakes to eat.
Not a bad gig.
I know. It was great. But then school just started, like it got really busy again, because this is like the time where we select or start interviewing for jobs for the summer, which will eventually be your job when you graduate. So I've been doing that for 2 years. 2 weeks. 2 years. See, I keep doing it for 2 weeks. And then I got like a week off. I had to like recharge. And then this week I'm doing elections for law review. So it's just like this month has been a little bit difficult. And like, I know that people on the Instagram are like, where is she? But the orders keep coming. And it's so funny how I've learned that the amount I post is like directly correlated to how many people will DM me to order. Because sometimes when I need a little bit of a break, or I know school is going to be like, it's going to be impossible to be baking, I like kind of go silent a little bit. And then I post one picture and everyone comes back. So I definitely have very loyal customers. I mean, they're great.
That's amazing. And I do want to ask about that, because it's something that I noticed too with the jewelry is that, and again, that was way back when, but when you are silent, it's silent. And then when you post it, like, oh my God, super cute. I want one too, How has it been for you? Because for me, I know that it is like social media in and of itself, like forget your actual run business. That's a whole other animal, and that takes up so much time and attention. What are your thoughts on that? How do you work with that? And how do you kind of like navigate that side of it on top of everything else?
So it gives me a lot of anxiety, because if I don't, I'm not good with my own Instagram. I never post. I'm very like active watching things, because I like to like see what's in, and I don't know, it's like fun for me. But I don't love to take pictures. I actually don't like taking pictures at all, like of myself. My little sister is here for that, because she's like a photographer. She's very, very good. And she like has all the nice cameras and things like that. So she's the one that pushes me, like, we're doing this or that. I'm the one that more comes up with it in my head of like, this is kind of the vision I have. Like, especially with that Super Bowl picture, which I was like so happy about that I did. Yeah. It was like a football cake, and I put like chips and stuff around it to make it seem like that. So that's like what I do. And she just like executes it for me, and really handles my social media sometimes. I remember in the beginning, I would get so many DMs that I couldn't, like, I was like, I can't handle the amount of DMs that this is. And so her and I would be on the account together, and she would be answering half and I would be doing the other half. So she was like excellent with that, because she's like, you need to answer a little bit nicer, and you need to do this, and you need to like, so she was great. And she still has the password to this day, and like answers DMs when I just like can't.
I love that.
So it definitely gave me like anxiety that I don't post as often as I did in the summer, because obviously my time is a little bit more constrained now. But I think I have like so many pictures also in like my files where I tell her like, we're going to post this today, edit it, whatever. I think her help has been incredible. And I think that Instagram has like revolutionized small business, and TikTok also, which I haven't ventured into, even though I love TikTok, but I haven't like posted myself, because I'm honestly scared that people will like it and it'll blow up again. And then I'm like, I can't deliver, I can't.
That's a good, it is. It's crazy for like time management stuff, but it's a good problem to have,
Yeah, no, it's an incredible problem. But it's just like, it's funny because my sisters really pushed me, both of them. They're like, you need to reach out to this person, like send, and that's what I started doing. I started sending people in the beginning cookies, people that I liked their personal style. Like I was very picky about that, because I'm like into fashion. I'm never going to send something to someone that I just like like I wouldn't follow their blog or whatever. So I started sending it to like people in Miami that I was like, they have like little blogs, and I absolutely was like, yes, this is it. This is like very me. And it follows like the brand of the cookie. And that went really well. I still have a lot of loyal customers from doing that, but I was scared to do even that because it was so busy at that time that I was like, I don't know what you guys want me to do to my sisters. And they still are always pushing me like, you need to, give it to this person and that. I'm like, I'm the only one doing it, so it's a little bit hard. But I wish, if I had more time to do that, especially now, maybe during the summer where I might have a little bit more time. I think Instagram has made it like, this would not be possible without it, because I don't think people go on a website, like Instagram is like a daily advertisement. You're posting it whenever you want. And then I would be very strategic about it. Like I'd post around times where I was hungry and I'd be like, people are hungry now. And it would work. So it's just so crazy how it's like really revolutionized business. And we saw that in quarantine with the amount of like amazing small businesses that like I love and shop regularly at. So it's just really cool.
Yeah. And I love to, it's so impressive. Number one, I know you, but number two, like to just see how many things you juggle, because I do think it takes a certain person. Like it's definitely it has to be a characteristic of yourself that you are able to have that time management, able to do so many different things and succeed in that, like not feel like you're being, drowning underwater, but that you're rather floating or rising above. What is something that you tell yourself a lot of the time when you maybe feel like, all right, I'm a little bit stressed out now. Okay, like things are overcrowding me. Like, what do you tell yourself in those moments?
I think that there's a few things I do. I have a really like incredible support system, which is I obviously live with my parents, and I'm very close to everyone in my family. Like my sisters and I are like best friends, and my dad and my mom, like everyone really like, they see me stressed out. They're like the first people to come and be like, what's wrong? And especially I think my dad has the same type of personality as me, that like I overthink, I stress out. I'm like, but and I think that's why I've done well in law school, is because I'm always like, well, this could happen. And if that happens, then I'm always thinking like so many steps ahead, and he's the same way. So he's helped me. And also my boyfriend, who was in the Birdie Bakery, like Deco Drive thing. I had no other friend. All my friends were at a wedding, and they're like, it can't be someone from your family. It has to be like a friend. So I was like, okay, Jack, like you're in this little commercial. And he's like the most, like he does not do that. So he's like, oh my God, what am I doing? But he's helped me like crazy too. Just like kind of put things in perspective and realize how lucky I am that this is a problem. Like you're so busy with great things and passions. Like a lot of people struggle to find a passion. And like the fact that I found like multiple, like that's an incredible thing. I think also like my faith, I'm super faith oriented. So like, just falling back on that a little bit. And like, when I just like, can't handle it, I'm like, okay, God, like, take it from me, because I don't know what else I can do here. I think, writing a to-do list, that's another huge one I do, but I think it's definitely a support from everyone. And my friends, obviously, anytime I'm like, oh, I'm stressed out, everyone will be like answering me in a second. I'm like, you guys are so good. I'm like horrible with my phone. But yeah, I don't think I could do it without my parents, without my boyfriend and my sisters. Like, there's just no way. I could have never. So,
and for you too, I think a lot of people, and again, I was talking with a friend recently, I think they struggle. They might know what their passions are, and maybe just, are too fearful to take that jump to just do it, For somebody that might be in those shoes, and you having done it numerous times, what is kind of some advice that you have for them?
So I hear this comment a lot, especially as it relates to like clothes, because a lot of times people would be like, I love your outfit. Like I could never pull that off.
You are honestly like, you are the most forward person ever.
No, definitely not, but thank you. But sometimes when someone says I love your outfit, I'm like, oh, like thanks. And like I could never pull that off. I'm like, why would you say that? Like, yeah, you can. And I've never understood that comment. And it's funny that I have like this dual, like, I guess, kind of confidence when it comes to things like that and things like putting myself really out there. But at the same time, I'm very shy and like don't really, like being like the odd one out. But I love, I guess, expressing myself artistically. I've always been like more artsy than I have athletic. So I think, yeah.
Not one athletic bone in my body. That's
I know, yeah. Both my sisters were like incredible at sports, and I was like, okay, I like to draw.
Yeah. Story of my life right there, that one sentence.
So I don't know. I think I don't like really when it makes me like upset when people are like, they have these great ideas or they're doing this thing. I'm like, start a business, like sell that. Like I will be there. Like I will buy it. And they're just like really afraid. And I don't know. I think it has to do a lot with like my parents and like, I remember, this is like a funny story, but when I was very, very shy when I was little, like extreme, like could not speak, like, and on purpose, my dad was like, you're going to be a lector at mass. Like you're going to be one. You have to read because that's the only thing that's going to make you get over it. And I was like really young, like in 5th grade, like super scared. And I would have to read at like, and then they ended up loving me and my sister because we were like together lectors. We had to read at like huge masses of like 50th anniversaries for the school. We were like, and I think those type of things and forcing me to do that made me like, I get very embarrassed, but I don't really get embarrassed when it comes to things like this. And it's something I've never realized until like right now that like when I'm wearing a weird outfit, it's just like, okay, like cool. Like if someone doesn't like it, okay, I don't really care. And I felt the same way about Birdie Bakery. Like definitely some people thought it was weird, like for sure. They're probably like, what is she doing? And I don't really care. Like it was fun for me. If you don't want it, you don't have to get it. I'm not really bothering you. And I'm sure that was the type of conversation that was going on. And it's always going to be, it's like, oh, really? What is she doing? From some people, because some people just like, they want to do it, that like, you know, you'll get that type of hate because they can't do it.
Right.
But I would just say like, go for it. Like, I don't know. I think like when it comes to things like that are artistic and like fun, you're allowed to be like very free, and it's appreciated when you're very different from the rest. So,
and I think too, that I love that because it's true. I think a lot of times we let other people's voices talk for us.
Definitely.
And those other voices, they're the ones that aren't doing what you're doing. You know, you're the one that took that leap of faith while the rest of them are just watching, you know?
Yeah.
So,
and I would have friends that were like so into fashion or like had this like incredible eye. And I'm like, you need to start like something. Cause like, I want to see it and people want to see it. And they're just like, no, that's kind of weird or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know. I just don't get that. Like, just do it. Which I get it. Like it happens to me in certain, I'm not acting like I'm some like, oh, and nothing affects me. It definitely affects me. But for some reason I have like this weird type of courage when it comes to things like that, because it's something I genuinely enjoy doing. And I was like, I might as well. And I'm sure I was kind of afraid when I first posted it, like, what are people going to think? But I still did it. Like, you know, I was still like, let me just do it and let me see how it goes. So I think if you have a passion, like you have to just like be who you are. And I think I've learned that a lot, especially in law school, that like, I'm just going to be who I am genuinely. And if people don't like that, then I guess those are not the people like that I'll be hanging out with. And I wasn't like that before. That's something I had to take a long time to learn. But thank God I learned it like pretty early at like 21.
What was that? In another episode that will air before this one, we kind of had a lot of discussion about that, about kind of growing into yourself. Number one, figuring out what you want to do, but number one, like figuring out how you react to certain situations, right? Because let's say you're the kind of person that looks at a situation and you take it on, maybe not so much as like a challenge, but you just don't really think about it. You just do. Yeah. I'm kind of like that too. Like I am kind of competitive, even though I'm not athletic at all, but I'm a little bit competitive.
Me too. I've learned that I am.
Yeah.
Like weirdly.
Yeah. So what has that been like for you? Like your journey of like figuring out who you are, being comfortable in that and doing it.
So I think it was like not hard, obviously, because I think my sisters are my greatest blessings. Like I don't even know what I would do. I'm sure you feel the same way, because I know you and your sister are very close as well. But I think it was hard in the beginning because we're so alike and we're so close in age, to like really set myself apart. And I knew that I was like, I had different interests. And I think part of the reason why I tried to be like so different was because I wanted to like be different than them.
Right.
Just to like kind of like be my own person. And I've always been like that. It's super funny because my older sister especially, and I are very, very similar. Like people meet us and they're like, you guys are twins, you talk the same. But she's like very athletic, super good runner. I mean, soccer, volleyball. She played like 3 sports in high school. She was incredible. And I was just like not that person. And I think it was like hard in the beginning because I'm like, why am I so bad at everything? Because I don't think I'm like pretty athletic, but I'm not really, it's not something I enjoy, to be honest. I like, you know, doing workouts that are not sport related, but I just didn't like sports too much. I did them, whatever, but I didn't love them. And so it was like kind of hard for me to be like, what am I good at? Like, I feel like I'm good at nothing. And I felt like that for a lot of my life. I was like, what? I loved to read. I was like pretty quiet, you know, whatever. And like, that's not really something I thought you could like be good or bad at. It was like, that's just my hobby.
Okay.
And it really wasn't until I got into law school, actually, that I started to realize like I'm good at other types of things. And like, that's where I really flourished. And it's like kind of funny that in like a school that's supposed to be like the hardest part of your educational experience is where I've done the best. And like, I've really, really grown. Because I think that competitive part of me came out, and I was really being challenged in a way that felt super fulfilling to me. And I think had I not, and it really changed me as a person too, in a good way, because I'm very like sensitive and emotional. And sometimes that would be like to my detriment because it was like, you know, too much. And law school made me like kind of more confident in who I am. And still the sensitive person I am, because I don't think that's anything bad and I never want to lose that. But confident and like just like kind of bold in a way that I was never before. And I think had I not gone to law school, I would have never started this business completely on my own. The other ones I did were like kind of with people. So I felt like, oh, okay, you know, or they were when I was really young, or like just like things like that. So I don't think I would have done this type of endeavor had I not gone to law school, because I would have been like, who am I doing this? But I think, I don't know, I think the things that made me who I am is like realizing that I liked different things, and like that's fine. Just because everyone in my family was like very athletic and liked soccer and whatever, and I didn't, was like, I mean, that's totally okay. I don't know why I ever thought that it wasn't. And yeah, I think following those passions, and like when I was interested in something, like over the Christmas break, I was like, I really want to learn calligraphy. So I bought a book, I bought the pens, and I started practicing. Like now I'm like that type of person that I want to learn it. Like, let me just go do it. And I used to never be like that. I was like, oh, I want to do that. And like, and I think the person that also pushed me to do that was my boyfriend, because he's very like, okay, let's go do it. He's like a marathon runner and super like, you know, like
because running is not in my vocabulary
he's
at
super
all.
like, I put my mind to it, we're going. And he's, you know, he's ran multiple marathons and done like really well and doing that, and like tries to get me into it. I'm like, listen,
I'll sit here, I'll for when you get back. That's what I'm gonna do.
But I think he's been the one too that's like kind of his mindset of like, I set my mind to something and I do it, has made me be like, oh, maybe I can be like that too. And I think that's like advice I wish I had from like when I was younger. Like, if you're interested in a subject, if you really like it, like just do it. Like no one cares, you know, like no one cares what you're doing. And I feel like when I was little, like it was like nerdy to read books and, you know, love to read on a Friday night, when I would like love that in high school, and like feel really pressured to go out because I was like, oh, I love this book.
We would have been best friends.
I know, it's so funny. Yeah.
My mom used to joke with me but it was my reality. It's like, I would literally, like, I don't know about you, but I block people out when I'm like reading.
Oh yeah.
I will be on my bed reading for hours, and like people are talking to me, screaming at me, and then I'm like, the hours go by and I'm like, oh, just finished the book. What are you up to, you know?
And I think it's kind of funny for me, especially, I don't know if it's the same for you. It's like a kind of a coping mechanism when I just like can't. I'm like, let me hop over here into like, and I really feel like I'm there to the point that it's kind of bad.
I put myself as the character.
Because then I'm like really worried about them. I'm like, are they okay? You know? And everyone's like, you're crazy. I can't watch TV because it's honestly too much for me, that I feel like I'm in it and I have like heart attacks and I can't sleep and I'm like worried about these characters.
Yeah.
But books, it helps me because it's like, you can only take it as far as like your mind lets you.
Right.
You know, so like, but I still feel for them. I'm like, what's wrong with me? I'm like, oh, what's wrong with me? Why do I feel sad? It's like, oh yeah, because she, you know, she's going through a lot right now. It's like this fictional person. So
oh my God, no, I'm the same way. I say it's like I always either put myself as the main character or like I'm in the book, like along with them for the ride, you know? And then it's like this virtual reality that I'm like, I'm really immersed in it. And like,
me too. I really
shows.
feel that way. And I don't know if everyone feels that way when they read, but like, I am inside the story. Like I'm in there and I love it. It's like incredible for me, especially when I'm like stressed or whatever, like to just jump in a book is like, I don't know. It's like, I know, you know, that feeling when you finish, it's like, I love to check it off my list too. I'm like, I keep a note thing.
I have a list of my books and then I check them off after I read them. Like, yes, 100%.
And I write my own personal, like little like notes, like was good, but I wouldn't recommend, just in case. Cause I know a lot of people ask me like, what book should I read? I'm like, oh, I actually have a entire like whatever list on my notes for you. but it's so satisfying for me. I'm sorry, I have to write that down.
To know if the viewers listening to this, like if you are one of those people like Michi and I, you need to let us know, because we're gonna make like a book club. That's gonna be Michi's next project.
About my books, oh my God, I would have the time of my life. Imagine, we're both gonna read this book and then talk about it. I would
let's do it.
Love that.
I'm down. That's gonna be side project number 3000. It's fine. What for you is like your hope, either with the bakery, with yourself, with law school? What do you like 10 years from now? Let's fast forward. Where do you see yourself?
I think my hope is that whatever I am doing in 10 years, and I have a lot of hopes law related to, like, I don't want to just be a lawyer. I probably might want to be a professor at some point in my life. I am also interested in being a judge. So there's like a lot in that realm. I think in just 10 years, I hope I'm doing something that like really fulfills me. I'm like that type of person. Like, I don't think I could be doing something just like for a paycheck type of thing. I need to be like something that's like very fulfilling for me. And that's why like being a TA, for example, has like, I love it. I love to teach. I've tutored and taught for like years. So doing it now in law school has been really great. I think whatever I'm doing, if it's the bakery, if it's, you know, and I don't want to really lose it ever. I even said like, even if I'm doing orders like for my close friends and like, that's it. Like, I don't want to just like shut it down. And it's like an LLC now and stuff. Like we created that over the summer. Which is like a whole different topic, but I don't want to like, I feel like, and my sister gave me a really good point the other day. She's like, you work so hard building such a good brand. Like, it's really like a brand. Like you see something and you're like, oh, that like matches perfectly with it. And people really look forward to it. I don't think I would want to like shut that down. Even if I got like really busy, I think I would just like scale it back even more and then, you know, pop up at random times and disappear again. But I think in 10 years, I hope I'm just still doing what I love, whatever it is, and like still being bold in that way and like putting myself out there, even when it's like super scary and I have no idea what I'm doing like this. And that's, yeah, like, I mean, just wherever I go, I hope I'm someone that really likes to learn, as you can tell. Like I just like always like kind of a new challenge. I love that feeling of being busy. It's good for me. And I think it's good for my mental health, honestly. And whatever I do, I just don't want to just like be, you know, my whole life doing like that. Like you've said, like I've had like a bunch of different things, a bunch of different passions. They're just like, it's like a whole world and like there's so much more to learn. So I hope wherever I am in 10 years, I'm doing something new. I'm still keeping up that the old stuff that I've been doing for a while and just like kind of challenging myself every day.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what you accomplish. And I know whatever it is, it'll be amazing. So Michi, thank you so much for joining us today. If you guys want to learn more information about Michi and Birdie Bakery, we will have that information posted down below. And as always, we will have another episode next Thursday. And of course, you can always comment who you want to hear from next here on the Spotlight. Michi, thank you.
Thank you. This was so much fun.